ask a question, I want to thank the chairman and the ranking member for holding this hearing, but mostly for your service on this committee. As you both mentioned, I'm leaving the committee, I'm leaving Congress at the end of this term. I promised my wife I would do this for 10 years, and I'm leaving Congress after 12 years, so that's about how I keep most of my promises, just about there. I've been very fortunate to serve on this committee for most of my time in Congress, and this committee has been populated by some really thoughtful members, and particularly the leadership. Mr. Boyle, we've become friends for a long, long time. You are, I will acknowledge, from Pennsylvania, not South Florida. Mr. Harrington, you and I have had a lot of fun together. I'm not going to mention, how the golf match that we had turned out. I won't bring it up. But, we've had great members. Mr. Yarmouth, I've served with, Jason Smith, Steve Womack, Tom Price, Chris Van Hollen, Paul Ryan, have been the leaders of the committee in the time that I've been on this panel, and I'm very much appreciative of the chance to serve with so many of you. Jan, we've served together for a long, long time. Scott and I came in together, a few others. It's a great committee. We do have a big challenge, and I think the real question is whether in the coming years we're going to see that challenge met. This has been a thoughtful conversation, and it does daylight that we do have some big challenges, but we also have some conflicting interests that we're going to have to reconcile. The reality is I think as Mr. Walker pointed out, that an effort to deal with efficiency is critical, but it doesn't, efficiency alone, produce the kind of results that will get us to balance. We also have to look at the dynamic effect of not only tax policy, but of the investments that we make. I've often been frustrated by the fact that when you think about some of the spending, we don't think about it in terms of the return on investment that spending might create. For example, I've been, a huge advocate for focus on early childhood education, making sure that those young kids get the best start they can possibly get. We look at the wrong window. We look at the wrong budget window when we measure the benefit of that investment. If we think we're going to get all of that investment returned to us within a 10-year window, we're measuring the wrong 10 years. So we have to think more thoughtfully, not just about the dynamic effect of tax policy, but the dynamic impact for the future of this country, not just in terms of the quality of our society, but just something as simple as the fiscal responsibility that we have. Simply cutting to get to a balanced budget in a current year might be the thing that unbalances budgets in the out years, and we just have to keep that in mind. And I am particularly concerned that while there seems to be a large focus right now on spending cuts in that small section of the domestic spending, of the discretionary spending that we have, often falls into that category where it's penny wise and pound foolish. And at the same time, a lot of focus, as the 2017 tax bill, many of its provisions are about to expire, that what I hear from a lot of my colleagues is to simply extend some of those and maybe even go further in extending some of those cuts that I think contribute to the inequity within the tax code. So I wonder, Mr. Elmendorf, if you might comment on that specific question, and especially on the effect of an effort to cut spending in some of the areas of domestic spending that might have a positive long-term net return, and simultaneously extending some of the 2017 cuts that continue the process that was set in place that has a firefighter in Bay City, Michigan, pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes than the wealthiest people in this country, some of whom are actually going to be in a position to make suggestions about how to cut the budget. Could you, in the 39 seconds I have left, make some comment? Thank you.
Thank you, Congressman. I think your focus on the investment nature of certain kinds of government spending is extremely important. And as you know, the Congressional Budget Office has been doing more work analyzing the effects of investments beyond the 10-year budget window. Reports on infrastructure spending, report on the effect of Medicaid for children. I don't think they've gotten to preschool education, early education yet, but I hope that's on their agenda. I think your point is very well taken. At the same time, we need to recognize that not every investment will pay for itself, and therefore attention needs to be given to how these investments will be funded. But I think it's very important as you and your colleagues think about changes in the budget, that you think about what will matter not just today and tomorrow, but in the years and decades to come. Because that's the goal of deficit reduction, of debt reduction, is to build a stronger economy for the long term. And those investments can be very important.
I appreciate that very much. I appreciate the panel, and I know some of my colleagues will appreciate me saying this for the very last time. I yield back.
Well, that's, well, the distinguished gentleman and our friend from Michigan's time has expired, but his legacy hasn't. And your statesmanship will live on in the spirit of how we conduct our business on this committee.